Israeli airstrikes have continued for a third day in Gaza. To show you the latest pictures now from the Gaza Strip, where bombings have been going on all morning. At least 2 people, including a child, have died in the latest attack, which we'll hear about in just a moment. It comes as the Egyptian Prime Minister makes a visit to the area to show solidarity with the Palestinians. Speaking within the last half hour, Hesham Qandil called Israel's attack on Gaza an act of aggression.
We cannot remain silent in the face of this tragedy, and the whole world is to live up to its responsibility to end this aggression. And Israel is to honor the treaties and conventions it had signed. This tragedy requires an urgent intervention, serious and honest action from all sides, and this is what Egypt started to do and will continue to do until this aggression is ended. Palestinian national unity achieved to the interests of the Palestinian people, and lasting peace is established, and the Palestinian state is set up with Jerusalem as its capital.
Meanwhile, Israel has deployed more tanks and troops along its border with Gaza. The Israeli Defense Forces said that a ground assault remains a possibility. The army has since recalled 16,000 reservist soldiers. Well, in a moment, we'll be speaking with our correspondent in Jerusalem, Nisreen El-Shamyleh. But first, let's get live to Gaza. Al Jazeera's Nadim Baba is there. And Nadim, for much of the last 45 minutes or so, just behind you there's been a huge pall of a plume of black smoke. What's been going on?
Well, Adrian, that's the latest, the result of the latest Israeli airstrike. There have been several in the last couple of hours since Hesham Qandil arrived in the Gaza Strip. What you saw, the pictures of the black smoke above the skyline, that's over to the northeast JABALIYA refugee camp, where it's believed an airstrike was targeting a carpentry workshop. But there was a hit on a house or a residential building next to that workshop, and medical sources say that 2 people died in that incident, including a child, bringing the total number of Gazans killed in the airstrike since Saturday to 20. Now, just half an hour ago or so, half an hour or more ago, I saw the convoy carrying the Egyptian Prime Minister go past our office here, and he clearly would have seen that smoke. He would have asked what was going on, so he knows that there are airstrikes. While he was in Shifa Hospital, actually 2 bodies of the latest casualties from airstrikes were also brought in. He saw those as well. So it's clearly obvious to him that the violence is continuing, hence perhaps his strong message that we were just hearing, that Egypt isn't prepared to see more of the same.
Let's bring in Nisreen then in Jerusalem. Nisreen, the bombing has continued after Israel stepped up its bombing of Gaza overnight. And the Prime Minister Netanyahu had said just before the Egyptian Prime Minister arrived in Gaza that he was willing to stop the bombing for at least the duration of his visit.
He was willing to, Adrian, but he set a condition. That condition was that rockets being fired from Gaza into Israel would also have to stop while the Egyptian Prime Minister was visiting Gaza. According to the Israeli army, that hasn't happened. Rockets on Friday morning and even after the Egyptian Prime Minister arrived, were still being fired into southern Israeli communities such as Ashdod and Ashkelon. They didn't cause any injuries. However, the Israeli Prime Minister set a condition, and the suspension no longer holds. So the army has continued these airstrikes against Gaza in order to respond to the continuous rockets coming from Gaza. And the Israeli army's Iron Dome anti-missile defense system has continued working. According to the army, it shot down and intercepted 5 rockets coming into southern Israeli communities this morning as well.
And Nadim Baba, in Gaza, this sustained Israeli bombardment that was stepped up overnight, that must have been pretty terrifying for residents there in Gaza.
That's right, it was. A lot of people say that they and their families weren't able to sleep overnight from the noise, from the tremors and so on, if they weren't actually harmed in any of the airstrikes. There were many of them. Israel says around 130 airstrikes overnight between Thursday and Friday. Given that background, it's unlikely that they would stop for any length of time, as promised by the Israeli military during Hesham Qandil's visit, as long as Hamas stopped the violence as well. But we know that Hamas has continued firing rockets towards Israel. It claims to have fired 5 more Grad rockets towards Ashdod in southern Israel in the last couple of hours. No reports of casualties, but its military wing has put out a statement saying that they attacked an army jeep to the east of the Gaza Strip, and they're saying that that jeep took a direct hit, and they're claiming that an Israeli soldier was killed. But we're still trying to hear any confirmation from officials either in Israel or here in the Gaza Strip about that. We can't tell you that's actually confirmed at the moment. It's just according to Hamas's military wing.
All right, Nadim, many thanks. I want to bring in now Al Jazeera's Sherine Tadros, who joins us live from Cairo. Sherine, of course, the Egyptian Prime Minister is in Gaza at the moment, showing his support for the Palestinian people. Why? What's in this for Cairo?
A lot, actually, and it's going down very well here that this kind of support is being shown to the Gazans in the Strip, and it's not just lip service that President Morsi is paying to them, because what we saw yesterday was a lot of statements coming out from President Morsi showing his support and the support of Egypt for the Palestinian people, but everyone was asking, well, what next? And the reason why we're standing here in Tahrir Square is because we're expecting a mass protest here in the afternoon where the Egyptian people will be showing their solidarity. But I don't think it's just actually about the Egyptian people. I can't overemphasize how important this visit would be for the Palestinians inside of Gaza. One of my most vivid memories from being inside Gaza during the 2008 war was people coming up to me and saying that they felt abandoned by the Arab world, that they were essentially left to die, isolated and cut off in the Gaza Strip. This idea that this corridor has been opened by Hesham Qandil, and by doing so he's almost opened this gateway into the Gaza Strip. We understand other Egyptian politicians may be making their way into the Strip later on in the day. There are rumors of a Tunisian delegation going into the Strip, maybe perhaps this weekend. So all of this is very important, even psychologically, for the Palestinians inside Gaza to not feel like they are as cut off as they were in 2008. And in many ways, it's actually the fruits of the Arab Spring or the Arab Awakening. The fact that the leaders of these countries are actually listening to the demands and desires of the people.